Alright everyone, and welcome to the first episode, the introduction to my new career mode. Now, you might be wondering what the hell is going on with the title. Man United are not in the second division, things under Moyes have not got that bad, but instead I've created a scenario. Now, I wanted to do a career mode, but I didn't know what to do, so I thought I'd make it a bit more interesting. I've tried to make it a bit more challenging and a bit different. I mean, it's not very realistic, but hopefully it will allow me to try something different and see how it pans out. I mean, it could be a bit of a failure, but I don't think it will be. I think it could work well. But I'm going to give it a go for sure. So now, let's create this scenario. Let's imagine that Man United Football Club have had massive debt. And because of this debt, I mean, they do have debt at the moment, but let's pretend that it's got really bad. They've had to sell loads of players. And because of that, they've got relegated. Now, let's forget what season they got relegated. Let's forget the fact that they won the title last year. But they were in the Championship in the second division for the 2013-14 season. So obviously they've sold a lot of players to get a load of money to pay off the debt, but at the same time they've also bought in a lot of players, but obviously these players won't be as good as the players they've sold. So we're talking about a lot of average players between 65 and 75 rated, some good prospects, mainly average but not world class. I mean, I've tried to balance it out. I'll show you the players in a minute, but I didn't want to make it so that I've got loads of really good young players. Tried to make it so that I've got some older players, some mediocre players and some young players with good talent. So firstly, I'll show you the players that have left. Now remember, this is before I've started the career mode, so this is what I did in squad transfers. This isn't part of the actual career mode. So a lot of players, as you might have expected, a lot of good players, and some of these transfers, I tried to make them up, I tried to make them quite realistic, but at the same time, a lot of these players probably won't leave, so I sort of had to do some guesswork. I mean, as the very first one, it might be a bit controversial with some Arsenal fans. Robin van Persie going back to Arsenal, the team that he left. But I think because Arsenal do need a striker and Robin van Persie is getting towards the latter stage of his career, I thought it might make sense for him to go back there. Another one, Wayne Rooney to Chelsea. I think that is probably the most realistic one. He has been linked heavily with Chelsea in the summer. Some other ones there, I tried to pick a team that I think would suit them. Vidic to Inter Milan, Luis Nani going for a last payday at Monaco, Kagawa going back to Dortmund, Ashley Young going to Everton. I wasn't sure about that one, but I thought I'd go with it anyway. David De Gea going to Barcelona. I mean, he has been linked with them in real life because they do need a keeper after Valdez. I mean, some of these are quite hard to pick teams for. Phil Jones, for example, I put him to Chelsea simply because I didn't see him going abroad, but I didn't know what team I could put him to England, so I thought Chelsea would probably be the realistic choice if he was to leave. Anderson, he hasn't had a great career in England at all, so I put him back in Brazil in Flamengo. Rafael, I put him in Real Madrid. I thought that was quite an ambitious one, but at the same time, I think he could get in the squad there. He might not play as many games, but he could get a good squad position, I reckon. And his brother Fabio going to the slightly less glamorous Hull City. Zaha, who has hardly played at all, went back to Crystal Palace. See, there's quite a few players here who I've just put back into their old clubs, simply because I can't see them going anywhere else. Fellaini going to Zenit, that's another one that probably wouldn't happen. So now I'll show you the players that have come in. These are players, once again, that I've did squad transfers for. This isn't part of the career mode, so there's quite a lot, roughly the same that went out. Some of these players I haven't heard of, so sorry in advance if I get the pronunciations wrong, but some of them I have heard of, so hopefully that'll be alright. Liam Ridgewell's one of the first ones. He's not a very good player, but he's a left back, 68 rated. I mean, I wanted to get relatively average players who would probably be good in the Championship, but not really good. So as you can see, most of the ratings are relatively similar. I didn't want to test the waters too much in terms of going for high ratings or low ratings. I try to keep it quite consistent. I mean, some recognisable names there. I'd say Frimpong from Arsenal. He's only 67 rated, but I guess quite a lot of people do know him. Johnny Russell from Derby. I mean, I tried to, the positions that I've gone out, I've tried to also balance them and put these positions in as well. Scott Brown from Celtic. Lamine Kone from FC Lorient. I mean, I tried to put a lot of countries in as well. I mean, there's players from England, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Brazil, the USA, Germany, etc. I tried to make it quite mixed so that it isn't just all Premiership or League One or Championship players or whatever. But I mean, some of them you might agree with, some of them you might not. Once again, remember, this isn't supposed to be really realistic, but I've tried to make it quite consistent so that's a challenge. Because remember, this is Man United Football Club, so you would get a lot of players wanting to play for them, even though they are in the Championship. So I've took that into consideration as well. So that leads me on to the players who have stayed. Now, this was quite a hard one, and some of these you might think, well, there's no way they would stay if Man United got relegated, and I agree with that. But I thought it was easier to keep them in, and I didn't want to have an entirely new squad because it would have been a bit rubbish if I had like no Man United players in a Man United career mode. It wouldn't have made much sense. So the main ones you can see, the ones at the top. I mean, Danny Welbeck, he is the main one. He is a player who I will not sell regardless of what offer I get. because he is, in my opinion, a one-man club. He was born in Manchester, he was raised in Manchester, and he's playing for the club that he's loved all his life. So I will not sell him at all. Hopefully he will lead the line, he'll lead me back up to the Premiership and beyond. Some other ones, Ryan Giggs, he's what, he's 39? No, he's 40 now. So yeah, Giggs, I don't think he would leave. He pretty much retires at the start of every career mode anyway, so there's no point in getting rid of him. I think if you do try to sell him, it just says that he's going to retire. Ferdinand's another one. He's had a pretty poor season, so I thought, he might just end his career at United. I don't think he wants to renew his contract anyway, so that doesn't really matter. Tom Cleverley was quite a hard one. I don't think he will stay. I think he's better than the Championship, but at the same time, he's not done great at United in the last couple of years. I thought I'd keep him. Now this is one that I don't think would stay for sure. Adnan Januzaj was one that I don't think will stay, but I just didn't want to sell him simply because he's young and he's got a lot of progress to go, and I thought it'd be good to hopefully be the main reason for that progress. I don't want to see another club get all his success, so let's pretend that I've offered him really good money and he's a player that's decided to stay. I mean, I could sell him in the future, of course, if a good offer comes in, then that might be good, but I've wanted to keep Januzaj for the time being. Butner and Lindegaard, but once again, both squad players, both would probably leave, but I think, we'll keep them because they're not great players. I don't think they're that much better than the Championship in my opinion. Now the next list there is reserve players or youth players, so I won't be surprised if you haven't heard of any of them. Lionel Cole, Sam Johnson and Tom Forbes, name a few. They're all staying simply because, they wouldn't even probably get in the squad now in the Championship team, so it makes sense for them to stay. And the last list are players that are on loan. I thought I'd keep them on loan for the time being. Now remember that I can recall them, so if you think that I should recall any of these players, then you do let me know, because I might consider that. But remember, there is a cost to recalling them, so that can be done, but at the moment they're not in the club, but they will be at the end of the season. I think most of them are loaned out for a full season. So now comes the transfer budget, and a lot of you might have noticed for the start, it said I had a 33 million transfer budget. Now obviously that's unrealistic, and that would pretty much make the whole thing rather pointless, because I haven't got great players, but a 33 million budget in the Championship will just make the thing too easy. So what I've done, I've created a player in the creation centre bit, and I made him have really low stats. I think his overall is 18, you'll see him on the screen now. And what I've done is I bought him from Burton Albion, I put him onto Burton Albion, I bought him for 30.5 million. I mean, obviously that's a ridiculous price, he's probably not even worth £10. But the point is, that means I've only got 2.5 million budget left, which I think I decided was about right. It could have been anything between 1 million and 7 million or something, but I thought 2.5 million was a good amount, and bearing in mind I can sell players as well, I can sell a lot of players, and I've got good players who can get a bit of money for. So I think on top of that, the 2.5 million budget is about right, and it means I can improve the squad. But at the same time, it will still be a challenge for me. It won't be really easy. So yeah, I've stuck with a 2.5 million budget, because I think that's about sensible. So I think that summarises just about everything for the introduction episode. It's quite a lot to take in, but let me know what you think. Obviously, this is quite a raw idea, so I do appreciate any feedback or suggestions that you have. To summarise then, Man United have had a massive debt crisis. They've been relegated. They've obviously sold a lot of players, but they've also bought a lot of players. Obviously these players aren't as good. Certain players have stayed, and my aim is to get them back into the Premiership and potentially winning the title again. I mean, that could be a long way away. Be quite interested to see if I can even get that far, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, if you like this series, if you like this idea, it'd be really appreciated if you could leave a like, just to let me know what people think of it, and obviously subscribe to stay up to date with episodes, and I will try to get them out quite consistently if it goes well. Yeah, I think career mode is quite good to record, because it's quite a good, it follows a storyline, so you're always interested in it, and it can be quite intriguing to see how it pans out. So hopefully that's the case with this one. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.